What's good, everybody? It's the Gaming Underground podcast, man, where you get your gaming news and opinions from all ways of life and all that other stuff and good stuff in between from console gamers and
the PC gamers.
All right. Now, you know how we started off, man. Introduce the co-host. My first co-host representing Baltimore, Maryland, the Benedict Arnold of gaming, Game Fanatic 386. What's going on, you traitor?
Nothing, man. You know, I just got back from another podcast. That's why I got that name. But it's my home, though, man. How you gonna call me Benedict Arnold, man? I just want to stick my toes over in the crumb side for a little bit.
How was the water? Did you come back with all your feet and toes?
I did come back with all my feet, surprisingly. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I go to the doctor and get myself checked, though. But anyway, we move over to my other co-host, represent ATL, the Southern Tongue himself, Mercu81. What you got, bruh?
What's going on? If you ain't got that Tomb Raider yet, go out there and get it.
All right, sound like a fanboy moment. But we'll keep it moving. We got a guest this time around. The pride and joy of Columbus, Ohio. Y'all probably heard from him or seen him on the GMG podcast. He pops in and out of there. A good friend of ours as well. Silver Joysticks, man. What's your opening statement? What you got for us, bruh?
Man, what's going on, everybody? It's an honor and a pleasure to be on here today just to have some discussions with some adult gamers and really get a sense for, you know, the kind of things that we're involved with and what we enjoy. I'm just happy to be here. I'm looking forward to having a good discussion and just learning more about what you guys are all into.
All right. That's what's up. All right. Y'all know how we do, man. We just go around the horn, man. None of that nonsense.
Let me spark it off, though. I'm into female butt sex.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Okay.
He said he wanted to know what we was into.
We was talking about gaming, Tig.
Oh, female gaming butt sex.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, it's too late to hit the rewind button now.
He brought it over. See what I'm
saying? You see what I mean? Y'all see what
Already.
I'm saying, right? See, before he went over there before he went over there to that side of town, man, before he went on the other side of the tracks, he was all good.
I was, man. They tainted me.
The water is corroded and corrupted. All right, so let's keep it moving, man. We keep it moving, man. We'll start off first topic, not gaming related, but down goes Rousey, y'all. Down goes Rousey. Ronda Rousey got hit with one of them DJ from Street Fighter roundhouse kicks, and it was over after that. Mr. Merc, you just saw it. You just watched it a few minutes ago. What you think about that?
She got fucked up. Oh man, I feel bad to laugh, but you know she was getting a little cocky there to me.
She had it coming.
Absolutely.
I think that
herself.
I think that knocked her down to earth. So
yeah, that's what a good ass whooping to do. That it'll bring you back to earth. You know, nothing like a good old fashioned passionate ass whooping. You know,
that humble pie.
Yep.
Served right to her.
Yep, cold. Yeah. So we'll move over to the guests, of course. Silver, what's your take on Ronda Rousey getting that ass whapped?
Yeah, I agree with Merc 100%. You know, I think, you know, she's definitely had, you know, a spike, just in her exposure, you know, over the last year. A lot of people, including myself, thought she was pretty much unbeatable, at least at the, you know, the female fighting level. And here she is, you know, taking an L by a fighter who I've never heard of before. When I know a lot of the attention surrounding Rousey was focused on Miesha Tate and her talking stuff to Mayweather. You know, it's definitely surprising to see her kind of go out, you know, like this. But, you know, I can imagine she's probably had a lot of other distractions going on in her life with, you know, kind of training and, you know, focusing on her film and television career. So I think when things like that happen to fighters, you know, they definitely tend to get a little bit off track. It kind of reminds me of, you know, when Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas. But, you know, even though there's some level of parallel there, even though there are some differences. But, yeah, I think overall this is just a setback, you know, for her. I mean, I think she's still one of the most fearsome fighters, you know, on earth. You know, I mean, I think she can definitely hold her own. And, you know, once she gets back and she regains that focus, she's going to be back up there. So I'm not worried about it in the long run. I just hope mentally she's prepared for this fallout.
Okay.
And I ain't gonna sugarcoat shit. She got fucked up, and I knew she was gonna get beat up by somebody. I thought it was gonna be Chris Cyborg, the manly looking female, because like
That's that's a man, right?
no, that's actually a woman. She
No,
was actually,
that's a
that's a
transgender
dude.
chick.
nah, the transgender was some other guy.
Chris
That's-
Cyborg
Chris-
is a he she, bruh.
Nah,
Really?
Chris Cyborg
Yes.
is a real
Chris
woman.
Cyborg is a he she,
You're,
bruh.
you're getting mixed up. I'll show you the person that's actually the he/she. There is an MMA fighter that wanted to fight Ronda Rousey and she turned it down because he was a man and then he switched over. That's not Chris Cyborg. Chris Cyborg just took a lot of steroids and looks like a man because of that. I've seen pictures before she started taking those things and she looked like a straight up woman. She actually was.
Maybe I'm
attractive.
wrong, but
Yeah, it's a different person.
okay.
But yeah, I felt that Chris Cyborg was going to body her, but she was pretty much running away from that fight because she was telling her she had to get to 135 pounds or whatever. She got to it, and then they were like, well, stop using steroids. She stopped using steroids and still got up to there. But Dana White was babying Ronda Rousey. He's trying to, I don't know what it is. He was trying to mold her to be like the greatest of all time. That's why he's promoting her like crazy with everything and setting her up against these bums. And then when she finally gets tested by someone who was actually a caliber fighter, like, this girl was a welterweight champion in boxing. She had 3 titles in boxing, undefeated. It's just like Ronda Rousey, and she proved it. She outclassed her by a lot. Like, it was nothing Ronda could do. Like, people were saying she should have gone to her ground game and she'd have won. She tried to take her down. She even tried to do her patented armbar that she was known for, and the girl got out of it and whooped ass. It was nothing she could do. The girl was just more dominant, and Dana White needs to get off of Ronda Rousey's titty and just get on Holmes and promote her as the best fighter, because it's obvious she proved herself. She is the best female fighter in that UFC company. So I don't understand. He's talking about a rematch. Like, I don't even want to see a rematch because it's going to be the same thing. Like, she's going to body her. Now, like I told you, T-Fly, unless Ronda Rousey apologizes to Mayweather, give him head or something, because he probably going to tell her she got to do something like that. It's Mayweather. You know how he is. Like, unless she does that and gets him to train her to learn how to, use her strike game and everything, she's not going to be able to become close to beating this girl. Like, this girl was just dominant. And it's funny that you brought up the Mike Tyson thing, because she did compare herself to Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson, in his years, he fought a whole bunch of bums and was bodying them. But when he got to those people that were actually on like his caliber of fighters and maybe better, they exposed him. Like, they exposed that he wasn't that great. And Lennox Lewis, Holyfield, they both bodied him like every time. So I feel like that's how Ronda Rousey she's at that Mike Tyson moment where she ran into somebody that is better than her, and is probably always gonna be better than her until she's like in her 40s. I mean, the girl was already 6 years older than her and still bodied her. Like, it was no problem.
That's amazing.
It looked like she was in better shape.
She was. Ronda was done like the first round, like after like 2 minutes. And the 34-year-old was still bouncing around, having no issues, hitting it with straights and jabs the whole time. I'm like, oh my, she is buying this girl.
She was.
Yeah, I think her stand-up game just got exposed. I mean, she just got outclassed. That's pretty much all that happened, and it happens, man. Styles make fights, regardless of what style of fight you're into. So I just believe that she just got outclassed. But is it over for her? No.
I mean, it ain't over, but
I won't say it's over, but I think with all the hype and all the talk, all that publicity she got, it did kind of get to her head. I think if she would have stayed a little more humble, people wouldn't be clowning her as much. It'd be like, okay, people lose fights all the time, especially in MMA. So I mean, it happens. It's just the way you bounce back depicts what type of fighter you are, and that's just how I look at it. You just got to bounce back differently from it. That's all. I mean, and don't be surprised, man, that if you see her going to WWE,
she should.
And pulling a Brock Lesnar.
She should.
I can most certainly see that happening. If that is too much for her, I can definitely see her doing what Brock did and just going back. Brock started off in WWE. Then he tried to play for the Minnesota Vikings. Then he went to UFC. Then he went back. So don't be surprised if you see Ronda Rousey go that route. So I mean, I just think she got dropped, and that's pretty much what it was. She got beat by a more
superior fighter,
more skilled fighter, and I just think it was too much too soon with her. I think she was given the keys to the kingdom a little too soon.
Yeah.
She was never tested, and when she got tested, you see what happened. She got dropped.
Like, it's partly Dana White fault for giving her all those titles: the best fighter in the world, the best female fighter in the world, the best fighter in the MMA and everything. Like, he shouldn't have done that. like I said, I don't know what his goal was or what he was trying to prove or something with her. But I don't know, maybe some feminists were on him or something. So he was like, I got to find a female fighter. And
that's his meal ticket. You know what I mean?
And make her like the best because these feminists.
Isn't she on the cover? Is she on the cover of the new game?
She shouldn't be. They might as well put Holmes there. I was about to say they might as well delay that game and put Holmes as the person on the cover because she's the champion and she's a definitely better fighter than Ronda Rousey.
People will buy that game just because she's on that. I mean, to be honest,
not no more.
Players, people still gonna do it.
She just lost one.
People
fight.
still gonna do it.
Like
Dog, she got destroyed. It was like she lost 5 fights, bro. Like, look at her face and look at Holmes' face after the fight.
Holmes was clean.
Yeah.
Holmes should have hit the Muhammad Ali speech after his first fight against Lister. I'm 34 years old. I ain't got a mark on my face. I shook up the world. Like, she should have just did that because, like, she pretty much shook up the world and she didn't have a mark on her face and she beat the so-called unbeatable champion.
Yeah. She got exposed. So, ain't nobody else got anything on that? We'll switch gears and get back on this gaming thing. Nobody. All right, keep it moving. Backwards compatibility for the Xbox One. They finally got this stuff. I mean, it took what? 2 years? Almost 3 years to do it. So, I mean, it's no big hip hooray about it, but for those who interested and got a bunch of 360 games that's just sitting there and they want to play them on their new systems or what have you, I'll go into some of the popular titles that they have available right now. Now, mind you, not all the games are. I think they released maybe 100, a little bit over 100. I'll narrow it down severely. I'm not going to go through all of them.
They got Bejeweled 2 on that hoe. Bejeweled 2.
Yeah, so I'll go into a few of them. You got Gears 3, Fallout 3, Assassin's Creed 2, Borderlands, Fable 2, which was one of my favorite games. I put a lot of hours into that game. Just Cause, Mirror's Edge, Castle Crashers, another one of my favorites. Sonic 1, 2, and 3, Rainbow Six Vegas, 1 and 2, South Park, The Stick of Truth, and Viva Pinata.
That's your favorite right there. That's his game of the year.
Y'all know that's my game. What's y'all take on the backwards compatibility? Would you Silva, do you have an Xbox One?
It's funny you asked me that. I've actually had several Xbox Ones, and I've traded them back and forth to GameStop and other outlets in exchange for other items. And I'm a little bit biased towards, I think, the whole concept because I am on PC and I think once you've had an opportunity to kind of put your foot in those waters, it's difficult to kind of go back, to gaming, on console. But being an Xbox fan, I think it's a good thing for people who've kind of struggled with the decision to kind of upgrade to the Xbox One. I think hopefully Microsoft's move does provide some added incentive, provided that the quality of backwards compatibility on the Xbox One is comparable to the way the game's played on the original Xbox 360. Because I think right now you can get a 360 even if you don't have one for less than $200 with a bunch of games from a variety of places. And so I think I've been kind of going back and forth in terms of trying to understand what makes more sense. If whether it makes more sense for someone to just go get an Xbox 360 if they don't have one, and then play the games on the architecture that it was meant to be played on, versus experimenting with what Microsoft has in the future. But I know when the announcement was originally made at E3, I was just as excited as everyone else, and I think it took a couple of days for the hype to kind of die down, for me to really sit back and think about what it ultimately means. I think the genius kind of aspect behind all of it is that there is going to be a certain segment of gamers out there who are coming over to the Xbox One from the PlayStation 4. There are people who may have gotten rid of their Xbox 360s. And so I think with the advent of this feature, you're actually going to see the possible resurgence in some games for the Xbox 360 and some of the earlier titles. And I think that's a little bit kind of an interesting aspect of how the business works. But overall, I think it'll be a good thing for gamers overall, provided that it works the way they're advertising it to work.
Okay, pretty good. Well put.
It was.
Yeah, well put. Tick, what's your take on that? I don't even want to follow that. I'm not gonna lie.
Keep the conversation conversation going?
Well, I still have my Xbox 360. So even if I had an Xbox One, this would be nothing that I would need because I could still find these games in stores. My store still sells a lot of these old games that were listed. So I could still purchase them on my 360 and play them if I wanted to. Now, with the backwards compatibility, I think they're supposed to upscale it a little bit. But when I remember seeing it in the beta, a lot of the games didn't run as well. So I'm not sure if they're, still running badly. But they did comparisons where Halo was running better than it did on the backwards compatibility. It ran better on the original. And then what's that game that I can't remember that game. That one game that you played and I didn't like, and you said you didn't like it either. T5, what was that game called?
Oh, I think I forgot to mention
EA?
that. Mass Effect. Yeah, I forgot to mention that one too. That was in there too. I forgot to write that one down.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2, they did a comparison with that game, and it ran, the frame rate was dropping a lot more than it was on the original. Now, I mean, that's to be expected because this isn't like a real backwards compatibility. This is like a lot of things we do on the PC. These are emulators. It's just an emulator for the Xbox that they programmed onto the system. So it's not like the laser is actually reading this disc like the PlayStation 2 did back in the day and the original Xbox 360 and PS3 did when they first came out. Yeah,
because they mentioned that too, that you just download it. They want you to download, which I'm not a fan of. They want you to download it to your system, and then you just got to leave the disc in there, and then the disc is more likely not spinning. You remember how they did that when you would be able to download your games to the hard drive on the Xbox 360?
Yeah.
I remember doing that with like Gears of War and maybe one of the Call of Duty games, where it's like not putting strain on your laser, on your disc, and on the laser thing that reads it.
Yeah.
So it was like it's supposed to run smoother because it's not doing that, right? But I just think like I don't think that's the case. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work on this one. But I'll let you finish it and I'll get into what I think how this is going to play out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still cool for people who sold their Xbox 360s, but when you think about it, you sold your Xbox 360 for a reason. You didn't want to play those games anymore. So what would this backwards compatibility be used for? Because obviously you could have kept those systems. Maybe you wanted to get rid of the extra, the space, but I don't know. Me, I keep my older stuff. I'm straight hoarder of video games. So if I have a video game console, I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to hold it. If I want to play some older games, I play older games on that system. So
right. You already seen how my game storage closet thing is. So
right.
I still got all that stuff. Now I think what they're doing, and like a lot of people saying about, if you had you had this, so you can go get a system. I think this is for the person kind of like say, this is speaking for the person like say myself that has maybe 100 Xbox 360 games. But you don't feel like bringing your 360 back out. You know what I mean? You might only want to play a few of them. You know what I mean? You might say you just want to play Rainbow Six Vegas or South Park on there, something like, or Fable. You don't want to bring out your whole system and make more room and have more clutter in your gaming area. You might want to keep that put up and just want to play a handful of games. I think that's the part where you could kind of take advantage of that, because I don't sell my systems and stuff like that. I'm not doing that.
You know what?
I'm not letting GameStop or nobody rip me off. I'm gonna just keep it, and that stuff might make me a lot of money one day.
Right.
But that's what I'm speaking from. I'm speaking from the person that has it. They didn't get rid of their stuff. They may just want to play 2 or 3 games that's on their 360 on their Xbox One, where they don't have to, all right, let me bring this up here and put this right here just to play it. You could just pick up that system that you own and just play it on there, if it runs good.
Or it could be for the people who may have had a 360 and they may have had one of the original ones, and that sucker finally died out and red ring on them. So they don't have to go back and buy another Xbox. They could just, if they still have the games that work with it, they can just put it in there and download it. Or someone who maybe didn't get to experience some of those games on the Xbox 360. Maybe they can, download these games and, buy them and play them on the Xbox, maybe, I guess. So I guess it could be for that.
Yeah, I always felt like that stuff should have always been implemented anyway when these newer systems come out. I mean, we talked about this before, but like, because PlayStation always did it, you know what I mean? So it's like, when PS1 came out, when PS1 was out, it was out. When PS2 came out, you could play PS1 games on it. Right. And when the PS3 first came out, you could play PS2 games on it before they changed it.
They took it out.
So yeah, and they took it out. I felt like that's how Xbox should have been in any other, system. You know what I mean? The Nintendo was doing it because you could play Wii games on the Wii U or whatever. But I just feel like it should always be in place anyway. So whatever.
Xbox couldn't do it anyway because they switched over to Blu-ray.
Right.
So, and the Xbox 360 didn't run Blu-rays, so they use HD DVD. So yeah, they weren't able to do it. Now PlayStation 4 on the other hand, they have no excuses. They're still using Blu-ray. They could have done it. But they want to do those remasters and stuff like that. So you have to pay $60 again to play those older games just with some bumped up graphics or resolution. So
well, I think it's because with the PlayStation because of that damn cell processor, they fucked up a lot with that shit. But Xbox, they should have. Both of them, they should have had that shit in the first place. Because I like when I'm playing on my Xbox, like when I'm playing with guys who upgraded to the Xbox One, they said like they lost a lot of friends because they trying to stay up on the 360, and that is why they need backwards compatibility. So the people who trying to hang on to the old system will move up to the new one. If you want to sell more consoles, if you do that, then people will move up. Especially like the kind of deals that they did with if you trade your Xbox and you get like $150 credit towards the new one. Oh, especially how cheap that shit is now.
Yeah, people jumping on it now.
Yeah,
they definitely jumping on it now. So, well, I guess we covered enough about that backwards compatibility. Like, all right, so we'll go. We'll move forward and start talking about the recent release games. And it's been a slew of games that's been released.
Hold on. One more thing. Hold on. We're gonna have to hop back to Xbox real quick. So Merc,
we're going backwards.
We're going backwards. Backwards compatibility. Going back.
Okay.
Hey Merc, how you feel about the Xbox UI, bro? Because you remember the last podcast, you had some words about somebody.
Well, I had words because all we're doing was hyping up. Okay, this does this, and like you get people hyped up for something, and then they go on to make that leap. Then when you make that leap, and that shit don't work, you kind of piss people off.
Yeah,
and
Windows 10.
Yeah, so that shit. Like my stuff kept crashing. Like I couldn't play my game. Like certain games, and then like my Xbox talking every time I move my joystick. That's unplayable.
What?
So
what?
It's like talking, like joystick going up, joystick going down. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
That's
so I had to go back. I had to wipe my Xbox, go back to the old, and I had to opt out. But like now to fix that shit. So. The new UI is great.
Turned into Johnny 5.
Yeah.
Xbox is alive.
This shit about to get ready to go the world or some shit. That's all.
Circuit 5. No.
That's really unfortunate because he's not the first person I've actually heard express lack of satisfaction with that new UI update, and I think that I have not had an opportunity to try it out myself. I know it is kind of designed to mirror the Windows 10 interface, but I'm really hoping that Microsoft does figure out a way to work out the remaining kinks, because I know that UI was a major impedance to people really getting the most enjoyment out of that console.
Yeah, but now it works great. Like everything's faster, everything's like you can everything is right there on the left. Like you just hit left and everything that you need is right there. So
I'm almost tempted to turn mine on and see myself.
Man, going up there. That shit's great now. Like
if it don't work, then
you can pull up. You can pull. It works now. Like the way that you pull everything up is actually faster than what the PlayStation 4 is. So
okay.
I say, what the hell am I putting?
I recommend in the update now.
All right. Well, now can we move forward now, Tate?
Yes, you're granted to go for it.
Motherfucker, Traitor. recent release games. Like I said before, there's a slew of games that's been released in the past month. Nobody can say there's no games to play on consoles now because there's been a lot of games being released. Enough that I can't even really keep up. I mean, I can, but I'm not. I'm not about to go crazy. Christmas is coming, man. I'm not buying all these damn games. You got you got Halo. Was it Halo 5? Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Tomb Raider. By the time you all hearing this, Star Wars will be out. Need for Speed, Fallout 4. That's just the scratch the surface. Out of all of these games that were named, Merc, what do you have? What do you plan on picking up? And what are your thoughts on the game?
I got Tomb Raider and I have Black Ops right now. And that's pretty much all that I'm getting this year. So that's it. I'm loving Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is great. If you like the Uncharted series, is more towards Uncharted. It got like a little bit of everything in it. It has a little bit of Last of Us. It got a little bit of Uncharted. It got a little bit of actual Tomb Raider. Like you can craft stuff. The visuals are great, and I just hate that it's getting over trumped by Fallout and Call of Duty. So they released this game at a bad time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, that Call of Duty is I bang with it.
I do too.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Tick, what's your thoughts on all the games we named?
Yo, I'm not even gonna lie, I wasn't paying attention. But
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, chill, bro. You call me a traitor, man. Shut up. Anyway, what were those games again, man? Fallout was one.
Halo.
Didn't play it.
Call of Duty.
Played it.
Tomb Raider.
Didn't play it.
Star Wars coming up right now.
Don't care about it.
Need for Speed.
Want it.
Fallout 4.
Don't want it. All right, so I've only played one of these games out of all those listed. All right, so look, I don't have an Xbox. Tomb Raider's only on Xbox. Need for Speed only got released for the consoles, okay? And I only have a PC right now, so that's why I haven't played half of those games. Fallout, I was thinking about buying it, but Fallout, it just don't look interesting to me. Like, I don't like Borderlands, and this game pretty much looks like Borderlands to me, just with the slow motion shooting things and stuff. But a lot of people were already telling me the game that I love, which is The Witcher, is not way better, but is better than that game. So I'd rather stick with The Witcher on that part. But Black Ops is cool. Actually, this is like the first Call of Duty I bought in like 2 years, since Black Ops 2. And I'm actually enjoying it. The only problem though is with the PC version though. It's obviously a port because it runs like doo-doo. And they just released a patch yesterday that was supposed to fix the performance. It didn't. I still the first game is cool, but after I'll say 2 games, my CPU just starts getting like used up. Like it just uses too much of your resources on your CPU. So what happened is the game will start lagging and then it'll start stuttering as I'm trying to run around and shoot people. Like there's times where I see somebody, I start shooting, the game will stutter, then I'm just laying down on the ground dead and stuff like that. And then eventually I'll just crash out of the whole server because it will lag completely. And why is this person trying to call me? So I will lag out completely. So then what will happen is I'll cut the game off, and I notice that my whole desktop is like taking forever for me to do anything. If I try to click anything, it won't work. It'll take like at least 30 seconds for it to recognize that I pressed the button. Like it slows my CPU down hard. So that's my only problem with the Black Ops. It's Activision though, so you know how they do. Pretty much the rule of thumb on PC, if the game comes out the same time as the console release, it's gonna be buggy. Because they're gonna work on the console version for the most part first, and then they're gonna port the PC part. And that means it's not gonna be properly optimized as well as it's supposed to be, and they'll just do that later on down the line with patches. So I kind of knew what to expect. I was like, yo, this is coming out at the same time as the consoles. Yeah, it's gonna be a little buggy, and definitely is. So it's to be expected, except for people like Bethesda. I think they work mainly on the PC version, and then they'll port the console version for the most part. And that's probably why the console version of Fallout 4 runs like shit compared to the PC version, I've heard. So yeah, I guess, it depends on the developers. But that's how I feel about all them games. I've only played one of them, like I said. Fallout, I'm not really too interested in. Need for Speed, I do want that game, though. That is a game I'm looking forward to getting when it comes out for the PC. What was the other games, though? I don't care. Fuck them. All right, somebody else.
Oh man.
You know, I actually completely second what Tick said with respect to Black Ops 3 in the PC version, because I had the same exact issues, and a lot of other people have had issues with the optimization on that game on PC. So I was very happy that Steam has the refund system in place, because I was actually able to get my money back the morning right after I had made the initial purchase and found out it didn't work. I then took that money, invested into an Xbox One, because GameStop had an unbelievable sale last weekend. And I did have an opportunity to play Halo 5 Guardians, and I think the problem with me is that I've been playing games so long that I really need something substantial to really capture my interest. And unfortunately, Halo 5 I think was just a little bit too elementary, for someone who's been playing games as long as I have. So I didn't really spend a lot of time, with that. I did pick up Black Ops 3 on PS4. That is definitely a much better game than I think we've had, over the last couple of years. Even though there have been some issues, with respect to lag and some levels of hit detection.
Yeah, I've been getting bodied on that game.
It's and I think what I had to actually do was I know Fraser Boy had actually made a video. He talked about it a little bit on the GMG podcast about the auto burst weapons, and that actually completely changed the game for me. So I've been doing a lot better in that respect. As far as Need for Speed, that's one of those titles where EA, they kind of unleash it every year, and I just really wish that they would just kind of stop and slow down and figure out what direction they want to take the series in, because I don't really think it's captured anyone's interest. Looking at a game like Rise of the Tomb Raider, it is a shame that it came out at this particular point in time. If a game like that would have come out over the summer, I think it would have fared much better, because even though it's getting critical acclaim, I'm just not seeing a lot of people talking about it, and it's not being very streamed very highly on Twitch, which is a major player in determining what games are popular right now. Fallout 4, I think I'm probably going to buy that during the next Steam sale. I thought about picking it up last week, but I think it's one of those games where I don't feel the sense of urgency to play it right now. Even though there are some elements that are probably fairly exciting, I think it is something that can probably wait. So I think overall, I'm just glad we're at a point where we finally have games, that people can play. Because when these systems came out, that first year, that was a rough year, and it seemed like the only thing everyone was talking about was just the differences in both systems. And now we're finally at a point where there is some level of parity, and I think there's arguments that can be made, for purchasing either console. And I just think going into the holiday season, the important thing is just play something, whether it's something new, whether it's something old, getting people out and just interacting with the hobby in a positive way. That's the most important thing.
All right. Me personally, Halo, I don't own it. I didn't think to get it. I felt like that game was gonna be a 2-week game and then stop playing it. I own Black Ops 3 for the PS4. I played it, man. I enjoy it. I don't have anything bad to say about it, man. I feel like for some reason the beta just seemed like it was smoother though to me.
It was.
It felt like the beta was a lot smoother. Like I didn't lose nearly as many gunfights as I do now. But then again, maybe I'm just getting outplayed, so I just try to take it as that. Tomb Raider, man. I don't know, man. I just, I had the last one on a 360. I never even finished that game. It just did not. It did not grasp my interest the way like The Last of Us did. So I think because The Last of Us was one of my favorite games. Period. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, The Last of Us. It was.
Huh? No, I watched the football game. This motherfucker got tripped over by his own teammate.
This guy.
Bruh. This motherfucker just pulled a tick, didn't he?
He did, yo.
Yeah, that's one of the tick moves, man. Oh god, he just busts up laughing. Every week it's somebody else.
Oh my god.
All right, Star Wars beta. I already just discuss how I felt about that, man. I need to see more, and if I get it, it's gonna be on PC. Need for Speed, I own it. I didn't play much of it. I'm gonna try to get into some more of that later in the week. And Fallout 4, that game is gonna have that. It'll be a price drop get for me. I'm not paying full price for that game because I've never played a Fallout game before. I keep hearing a lot of good things about it, but right now it's just not on my list of priorities. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much that. So if nobody else got anything to talk about on that one, we'll move forward. Anybody? No. Yes.
I was even, because even like Fallout 4, I mean that's a game I think people aren't really going to get the most out of that until the mods start coming out, and we kind of see some of those variations on PC right now. Because I think right now, I mean there's definitely a lot of bugs within the game. The people are reporting. But I think in a little bit of time, it'll be a better value once people have really gotten into, some of that code, and they're bringing out some of the possibilities with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I might get it later. I might get Fallout later, like beginning of the year or something like that. But
yeah, that's definitely a price drop game for me, though. All right, moving on. Possible Game of the Year candidates. Leading the way. I mean, feel free for you all to just add in other games that you want, but I'll just get in the top 3 games that were mentioned: The Witcher 3, Fallout 4, and Bloodborne. Oh God. Silva, you got the floor on this one, man. And if you got any games that you want to throw in there, please do so.
No, because I know Polygon came out with their list of what they thought were the best games of the year, and I think Witcher 3 by far and away I think has really won the most praise from critics and gamers alike, and I think CD Projekt Red did an excellent job at just making a game that is robust in content, and I think they approached it the right way. I mean, you kind of look back at 2015. This has really been the year of, microtransactions and DLC evolving to a cancerous level, in the industry. But it's also been the year where I think, we've seen a lot of, different ideas in terms of, games being presented and being marketed. Namely, using Twitch and YouTube gaming as being, primary avenues of getting information about new games, out to the people. And I think Witcher, what CD Projekt Red did was really nothing short of extraordinary, and just being able to deliver, a full experience to gamers that people have been able to spend a lot of time invested in. So that, by far and away, that's definitely my pick of a game of the year. And kind of looking at, like Bloodborne, I think that's a really interesting experience because, at the beginning of the year, we were kind of going through a little bit of a drought. Dying Light was good to kind of get people's engines running. Bloodborne was the game that really kind of became synonymous with, people defining their success as a gamer through their ability to endure the game's difficulty. I personally quit Bloodborne after dying about 36 times in the first 20 minutes, so I definitely do not have any plaques or awards.
You sound like me.
Speak to, but I think the game, just in terms of its artistic design, it's definitely worthy, of that mention. Man, what was the last game that you had mentioned?
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4, I think just by virtue of it coming from Bethesda, it's automatically going to get that level of consideration. It's going to get defaulted. I think the interesting thing though is like if you look at some of the reviews on Steam, a lot of people are kind of talking about Fallout 4 in terms of how it ranks in comparison to the other Fallout games. And I think there's been a little bit of negative backlash with respect to that, but I think overall the game appears to still be solid, something that people are looking into. But and another thing I think I said on the GMG podcast was Rocket League was one of the games that I felt deserved that consideration just because of overall fun factor, and games like Life is Strange as well, because I think that it's important to remember those games, in light of the fact that they, didn't have multi-million-dollar budgets in the same way that a lot of the big AAA games do. So I think it's important to kind of keep all of those, in the mix as well. But Overall, I definitely like Witcher 3. I think it sets a good example, for that type of content to be recognized, and more importantly, CD Projekt Red's approach to game development and distribution that needs to be recognized as well.
All right, Mert, what you got, bro?
Tomb Raider.
This guy.
I think
Sounds like a fanboy.
No, I'm just saying. I think that
Ready,
should
Tick?
be
You ready, Tick?
nominated.
Come on, do it.
Fanboy, come out and play.
Look, Tomb Raider is like one of my favorite games, like so far, and of this year. I haven't got the other two, so I can't say it.
Fanboy.
At the bottles.
Go ahead, Bert. Finish up, bro. Go ahead.
But I can't really say about Witcher and Fallout and all that stuff because I haven't played them. So, so I can't really say like which one I think should be better. But I do want to play Witcher though.
Yeah. All right, Tick. I know you want to jump in. Let me get this one real quick.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what I think the game should be because I think we're gonna save that for our own, game of the year deals that we're gonna do. So I don't want to say the same thing twice, So I'll just stick to the ones that they got in here. I mean, Silver made a great point mentioning Rocket League, and I'll leave it at that. I also feel like these games that have these big time developers behind them, they get automatically put in there because of the track record of the game and not so much of the actual game. They just get put in there by default, and that's why I think
Mario Maker in there, bro.
That's why I feel that Fallout was just thrown in. I mean, I haven't played it yet, so I can't speculate, but I think the overhyped games get considered more than the lower tier of games. I love the game. Like I'm always rooting for the underdog, the game that comes out of nowhere that nobody expect, like how Shadow of Mordor did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like how Shadow of Mordor did. You know what I mean, stuff like that. That's how I feel. Like, that's how I feel as far as like when you consider a game of the year, like how fun it is. Because Silver, I know you come from the era like me and you from the same era.
Yep.
Where we were playing Double Dragon and stuff like that. The
Bad Dudes.
Bad Dudes, Bayou Billy, and those. You get what I'm saying? Those games
I do.
where it was a lot of different games, and all these games can be considered, and it was considered off your personal preference. You know what I mean? It was not somebody being a developer being in some magazine's back pocket saying, "Hey man, make sure you put our game in here. Here, take this. Go buy your kids something." You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing going on like that. And that's how I feel like, a lot of these games get considered nowadays. Now, I played The Witcher 3 shortly. I mean, I just played it like maybe a week or two ago. I played it for the first time. I think it was a good game. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was pretty good. And I see why a lot of people love that game. Because it's a lot to do on there. Like, you could just not follow the course and be playing that game for 6-7 hours and not even realize it. Fallout, I haven't played it yet. I plan on playing it just to check it out. And Bloodborne, nah, man. I'm sorry, yo. I very seldom use the word hate, but I hated that game, man. I just hated that game. I hated how that game was just designed to just torture you, yo. It's like they wanted you to fail. Like, man, like, why you won't let me be great, man? Like, for real. That was my question every time, man. I just sat there. And my son at the time was 4 years old. He would just sit there and just laugh at me. Like, he would hit me hollering all the time. Like, I'll be in there, fuck! He would just run in there, and then run back. You know what I mean? Just laughing at me every time. You lost again, Daddy. Like, yeah, I know. And he say, it say you died. You know what I mean? He see it so much. He know what it says. Like, man, that game was so utterly frustrating. A lot of people gonna say, oh, that's because you suck at the game. No. The game was just, I just didn't like the game, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Eventually I got past certain parts and stuff like that, but I mean, just the shit you gotta go through, man. It was just like, man, I must be a glutton for punishment because I played that game longer than I normally would. And I just do not have that type of patience, man. I don't have that type of patience. I don't feel like I should really just hinder myself into playing that game anymore. So I got tired of it, and I think I gave that game away. So I'll swing it over to Tick. I'm done.
Wasn't Metal Gear Solid 5 in that list?
I don't know.
I think it was.
I mean, it might have been, but like I said, I don't want to. Those were the top 3 games that I saw, and I just, those are the top 3. I narrowed it down to 3 because I didn't want us to, be talking about them so long. I know some people are gonna mention Metal Gear Solid 5, but like I said, we'll save that for our, our personal. We'll do like a top 5 games of the year coming up anyway. So,
all right.
So we'll just keep it moving. I just wanted to do this with like the main candidates, and that was the top 3 that I saw.
I feel like a game was missing out of there. Me personally, I think Dying Light should have been in there. Like that was one of my favorite games this year. From the story to the gameplay, like I said, I like games that got a lot of depth in them. Not depth. I like to have a lot to do, but have the gameplay be good. Plus, I like gory games too. So that game had all those elements, and it even had a pretty good story. Now, I'm not, a story, type of gamer. Like I could pretty much care less about stories, but I could remember some of it for the most part. I can remember what's the point of the game. So yeah. That was a game that I really felt should have been up there. But Fallout 4, that game I want to try it out, but me personally, I don't like RPG shooting games. Like I feel like if I'm shooting you with a gun, it shouldn't matter of what different type of gun I have, especially if the gun is the same exact model of that other gun. Like this is what I hate about Borderlands. I have this one gun and I go find another gun. It has a different paint on it, but it's the same exact model of that gun, but it just does more damage somehow, and it makes no sense to me. And I just don't like it.
Yeah, Merc, you gonna let him clown your game like that?
Hey man, I hate it. I don't like it. So
hey, if he don't like it, he don't like it.
Right. And Fallout.
It's his opinion.
Right. And Fallout looks the same to me. But what I like about it, and this is what you were talking about, The Witcher. Like The Witcher, it's a lot you can do. That's why I like that game, and that's why people like Fallout. Like other than all the bugs and glitches that the game has, because it's Bethesda. People say it's like so many hours you can spend playing that game. Like you could play that game for 4 years and probably never complete everything in it. So that's what people really like about the game. But to me, it just looks kind of boring. Plus, I just don't like the RPG elements when it comes to being a shooter. And that's what turns me off from it for the most part.
I agree with, but I mean, as far as the last part you said, I kind of disagree. That's what I think makes the game unique. You know what I mean? I think that's what makes the game. That's what its selling point is.
What?
So, the whole, like you said, like a shooter, and it's an RPG aspect of it. I think that's what makes that game unique in itself. You know what I mean?
It's not unique because Borderlands does it.
I know, but it has its own like style. Like it looks different. From a cinematic standpoint. When you look at the game, it doesn't look like Borderlands. Borderlands is like cell shaded.
Yeah, cell shaded.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Fallout, that game looks amazing. I'm just gonna be real. It looks incredible. But I've just never.
A lot of people say it look ugly.
I've never played a Fallout game before. Like, be honest with you, I've never played Fallout. Like, what's another major title I've never played before? And people say, "Oh, you just don't play." I just never was really into them. What was another one? I played Mass Effect. I didn't like it. I never played Fallout. I never played BioShock. I never played BioShock before.
Me neither. But
am I gonna say?
Not even Infinite?
I don't like. I never played any BioShock game before. So, I mean, I'm not gonna clown the game. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna clown the game and say, "Oh, I don't like it. It looked like it's terrible." I'm not gonna say that because, like I said, Fallout looks good. It's just not a game that seemed like when I get it, I don't want to get the game and be like, okay, I played it. Now what I'm gonna do? I don't have the urge to play. If I don't have the urge to play it, I try not to buy it, because I did that, man. Like 2012 and 2013, I was buying every game that came out. You know this, Tick, because you used to clown me all the time. Like, man, you don't ever finish nothing. What was that name you called me?
Dr. Calamitous.
Yeah, Dr. Calamitous. I never would finish the shit. Like, I would never finish the damn games, and I'm just trying to avoid going through that. So when I say I'm not getting it, it's not because I don't think it's a good game. It's just I want to finish everything else I need to take care of first, and I'll get it later.
Shoot, right now I'm Dr. Calamitous. I still ain't beat GTA 5 yet.
I mean, it's
falling asleep playing that boring ass shit.
It's different for us too, because I mean, I think we're at the point in our lives where we have competing priorities. I mean, it's
true.
Like We got family, we got wives, we got kids, got jobs. It's like we don't really have the time to sit down and
invest that type of time into it, right?
Exactly, and especially not to get the return on the investment, because like what you said with Bloodborne, it's like, you know, the reason I never got into it is, you know, I don't play games to be frustrated. You know, I play games
to have fun,
and have
you
a
know,
sense
then
of
accomplishment when you're done with it.
100%. And it's go ahead, Tick.
The way I saw Bloodborne is, and this is why I made that video way back. When like I said, in that video, I never said the game sucked. I just said I didn't believe it should have gotten those ratings. But Bloodborne's one of those
people went at you
games.
For that too, bro.
They hated it. I lost so many subscribers that day.
Yeah, people went at you for that because you just especially. And just before we keep going, you notice how like me and Tick didn't agree on something, and it wasn't nobody being attacked in the process.
Right.
All right, proceed. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so I just looked at the game, because a lot of times people always say you got to play a game. If you've been gaming for a while, you can tell how a game looks and how you would feel about the game. Now, I was just looking at the game and I was like, it's compared to games like, Devil May Cry, stuff like that. It wasn't as flashy. It was a little slower, and it was just difficult. And what I looked at it as, I was like, okay, so this is on the Sony PlayStation right now. They're having this console war against Xbox about who has the better exclusives, and they don't have a lot right now. They were in a drought around this time, so this Bloodborne came out, and I think it came out after The Order, which kind of failed. So
yeah, that game did not do as well as we all hoped it would have.
Right. So this game come out, and like people were just like, "Oh, it's the greatest game ever," but like this is already like. It's been the Souls games. It was the same as all the Souls games for the most part. It was a little differences here and there. I've seen the little differences, but it was pretty much a Souls game. If you played a Souls game, you pretty much played Bloodborne.
Yeah.
And I was just based my opinion. I'm like, it just looks like these games, and even the Souls games get high ratings. And I just think it's mainly because of the difficulty. It's like a rite of passage. If you beat this game, you're the greatest gamer of all time. Pretty much. That's how I looked at it. So people were like hyping it as the best thing in the world, when I'm like, yo, it's not even that great compared to this game and that game. But people took it as I was saying the game sucked. Like, I was definitely not saying the game sucked. But if I ever get a PlayStation 4, I'm definitely probably going to grab Bloodborne just to try it out for myself. Try it. Because, man, I want to be the best gamer ever. If I beat it and get a platinum on it.
Man, what you gonna put that shit on your resume?
Right, yo, I'm gonna put it on every resume, son.
That shit don't mean nothing, man. People worrying about the wrong things. Yeah, people worrying about the wrong things out here, man. Worrying about how many trophies you got and shit like that. And did you get a platinum trophy of the game? Like, shit, I'm not gonna put that shit. That shit is not gonna go on my headstone when I die, man.
Well,
so
I mean, it's even to what Merc just said. I think with the whole gamer credibility, I've been seeing a lot of this kind of floating around, the internet, and I think, to me, someone would be a lot more credible if they've actually spent time on the development side of the game process, even in kind of experimenting with some of the tools that can be used to create your own games, or at least familiarizing yourself with the business aspect of what some of these companies go through. To me, that seems like that would make a person more credible than someone who just spent hours and hours on end just trying to get a platinum trophy. I mean, now, and I'm not going to say that I don't respect, the grind, because there was a point in my life where I used to do that.
Right.
But I think
Gamer score.
Right.
Yeah, I used to do all that.
I used to do that shit.
I played Call of Duty 4 on the hardest difficulty just to get the 100% complete. And it was the worst thing in my life.
I think I did that, man, with that Resident Evil 5 or some shit, man. I played it like 3 different times just to do that.
I feel like that's why I don't play single player anymore too, just because I think that game scarred me so much, just trying to get that gamer score, get all the achievements and playing on the hardest difficulty, that I never want to play a single player game if it was Call of Duty or Battlefield ever again, son. Like, I just keep, every time I'm about to start it, I think about those days.
Wow.
And it scarred me, son.
And it's like you carry that around with you every time you start a campaign.
Right.
Yeah, it's nuts. So,
but yeah, just to finish off what I was talking about. So yeah, I'm gonna try Bloodborne one of these times. But Fallout, I'm gonna definitely try that whenever it's like a price cut, maybe. When I can get it for a lower price on Steam, because I could get it from these other sites for a cheap price. But if I don't like it, I can't get my money back for it. So I'm just gonna wait for a nice little price drop on Steam, maybe 30% off or something. I'll pay for it and get it.
Man, fuck Bloodborne.
But other than that, The Witcher 3.
And fuck that Griffin.
No.
On Witcher 3.
Y'all already know how I feel about The Witcher 3. Like, I definitely agree with them nominating that game. I was just playing that before I got on here to do this show. I was playing it for like 2 hours too. So, that game, I'm loving it. Definitely, I'm trying to beat it right now. Trying to finally beat it so I can get that expansion they just dropped for it, the DLC. I'm gonna buy that too. So, yeah, I'm enjoying this game, and I see why people liked it too. That's why I wanted to try Fallout, just in case if I have the same opinion with Fallout like I did with The Witcher. Because when I first saw The Witcher 2, I didn't understand why people liked it. I used to look at the combat like, yo, that combat lame. They do the same attacks every time, and it just looks so boring. Like, why do people like this game? And then I saw the trailer for The Witcher 3, and one thing that got me was the dismembering of like all the enemies. Like, you could cut their arms off, their heads off, cut them in half. And that's what I was expecting Witcher 2 to have. I'm like, yo, he's using the sword, slash people. Nobody gets their head or limbs cut off. Like, why would I want this game? So after I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of liking this game now. And they got the little finishing moves. So I bought it, and I wasn't let down at all. Like, I love this game. Like, Witcher 3 it's a shit. It's a shit.
Oh, no, so nobody considering like games like Mad Max, stuff like that.
Nah.
Mad Max. Here, I guess my thing is this: like, there's always going to be games that are going to be your top tier echelon titles, and then there's going to be those games that are going to be, the pleasant surprises, kind of like the games that you play periodically, but may not necessarily, resonate in your
Care
mind.
if you finish it or not. Yeah.
Exactly. Mad Max fits that mid-tier category to a T, where I think it's, they were able to find something, WB was able to find something unique in kind of providing a game mechanic that was full of an open world, full of nothing except, various levels of terrain and your car and that disgusting man monster that was on the back seat. Like, I mean, they did a great job in kind of perfecting that environment and that ambiance and those mechanics. But it's like in a year full of, games like Witcher 3, even Batman, though, the mess that it was on PC.
I tried to stay away from that topic.
Well,
Batman Arkham Knight was, my problem with the Batman games though, it's just, they don't change nothing. It feels like the same game every time. I even watched to see if they changed like his animations on his punches and kicks, and they were the same exact moves from Arkham City.
They were.
Yeah, like, I don't understand how people still like this game. It's the same game, like, and it's so repetitive and boring. Like, if you want to win, just keep pressing the attack button for the most part. You really don't even have to dodge for the most part. Just keep hitting the attack button or the counter button. Like,
I mean, but what game isn't repetitive though? But I understand what you're saying, but I mean, we throw that word out a lot, repetitive. I mean, every game is repetitive.
It is.
Very true.
You're doing the same thing pretty much in every game to survive, because I mean, the attacks most of the time don't change. So I mean, you gotta fight people. So I mean, I understand. I think my main problem with that, and I'll move along with that. My main problem with that game was the Batmobile.
Oh, how they forced you?
I had to, like, we all asked for it. We got what we wanted. We got put the Batmobile in there, and they did it, but they overdid it. It's like everything I gotta really put the Batmobile on top of this damn building. Like, I got to really do that for what? You got a grapple hook. Why I gotta put the bat? Oh, because you gotta go up there and shoot this thing down. Like, I can't just call in the Batwing to do that. Like, that's how I was thinking. You know what I mean? But I just felt like the Batmobile was overkill. So,
it was.
But like I said, we'll get into our top 5 and our worst 5 games of the year. Later. We'll probably do that next month. So let's just switch gears here. We got a couple more topics we need to do before we shut this down. Merc, you got anything in closing with these 3 games before we move on?
Nope.
I just want to say though, like, when I say it's repetitive, and I mean the combat. A game like Devil May Cry or a game like
God of War.
God of War or Ninja Gaiden is what I mean when it comes to combat being non-repetitive. Like, you have to press different buttons, you have to press different directions to do certain moves and make the combos actually look cool.
Oh my God, Silva! I know you, Silva. I know you played the original Ninja Gaiden, so you understand the frustration of being
talking about Ninja Gaiden, the arcade version of Ninja Gaiden.
We talking about Xbox original to Xbox 360 Ninja Gaiden.
Terrible. That game was insanely hard. Insanely hard.
There. Yeah, that.
The original was hard as hell.
It was.
The original.
The original was hard as fuck. So, all right, we'll get into. And I'm already tired of talking about this game, yo. I really don't even want to touch on this. But frame rate issues reported during console version of Fallout 4. I had a couple people tell me personally that it's not as bad as people were making it out to be, but it is an issue at times where it starts to stutter. Yeah, so I think that's gonna hurt them a little bit.
It won't.
But at the same time, people are a lot more forgiving than I am for stuff like that. So, I mean, because I try not to nitpick, but when a game receives that much hype and all that stuff, the game has to be perfect, damn near perfect, to get those scores that they get. And stuff like that can, I won't say it's game breaking, like a la Batman and Mortal Kombat was on PC. Yeah. I won't go that far, but it is an issue.
I got a video for Mortal Kombat coming up too. I just want y'all to know.
Okay.
They about to get it. I'm about to feel it.
Okay. All right. So anybody want to touch on the frame rate topic, or we can move on to our final topic?
I mean, with the, I think it's just the nature of the beast. With the way that the consoles are designed. I mean, that's the one thing about this next generation is, I mean, these are essentially underpowered machines where compromises do have to be made in order to fit these games, onto them and have them work properly. And I think the one thing I will say though is that, I used to be very heavy into console gaming, and I think when I actually made the move to PC, that's when I began to become more familiar with, some of the nuances, visually, that you do actually see in some of these games. And I became, better versed in understanding some of the problems. And so, like, if I sit down and I look at an article from like a, Digital Foundry, and I see them actually do an analysis on a game like, Fallout or Halo, and I actually see the problems that they're pointing out, it's a lot easier for me to digest that and understand what they're talking about, because I'm used to actually seeing these games on PC. Had I not made that transition and, I was playing games, a large TV, maybe 6 feet away from it, it may not be as easy for me to notice things such as, frame rate. Like Bloodborne had a lot of frame rate issues, but that was something that was very, seldomly talked about in the midst of all the hype that was surrounding it. So I think it doesn't surprise me that Fallout has these issues. I think the unfortunate thing is that, if they are problematic, those fixes may not come to console as readily as they would come to PC, because, Bethesda is primarily invested in that PC space with Fallout.
That's interesting.
You know what's funny though? I feel like YouTube has caused this whole stir when it comes to like frame rates and bugs and stuff like that being found on these games, because like you go back to the 360 days and PS3 days,
that was rarely ever talked about.
No one talked about it, and it was pretty much when these console gamers finally moved on to PC, when their buddies were like, hey man, you should try PC gaming, it's better graphics and everything, and they finally decided to take that jump, and they started seeing these differences, and then they go back to the console and they're like, yo, like I'm noticing all these issues with the frame rate, and I'm gonna tease these console guys and tell them to come to PC. Like that's where now all this stuff is happening, because like there were games back in the 360 days that I remember playing, and they had a lot of frame rate drops and issues, but it wasn't a problem, because even I knew, because I was a PC gamer, but I still wouldn't say anything, because I was like, okay, this is a console, I know what it does, and that's why it's not strong enough to run these graphics like this. So I was, it wasn't a problem, and now it's like a huge problem now. And these developers have to actually try to, fix these games up to, to work on these weaker consoles. But the problem is, though, to do that, they got to make shortcuts. And that's what developers are doing now. And I like that. And I remember making a video about it. And I was like, yo, if you got to get 60 FPS, you got to run these games at lower frames. And people, why are these guys sending me messages while I'm doing my daggone show? Hey, on it. But anyway,
walk and chew bubble gum, Tick.
yeah. So they have to make the shortcuts. So like Halo, on the other hand, they had that dynamic resolution, so it'll change from 1080p down to like 11 something by 900 or something like that, and you'll see like certain shadows would disappear and then pop in at certain spots and stuff like that in order to make the game run smoothly. So I don't know, I just think YouTube is kind of the cause of this whole issue with the consoles, and it's really nothing that the console gamers are wanting stronger consoles, but they're not willing to make that money, like the payments to get that. Like if you want a strong console, you're not going to be paying $400 or $500. If you want something to be closer to PC, you got to pay for what those parts cost, and they cost like $700 to $800 for like a really strong rig that's going to run a lot of these games at least 60 frames per second. You got to be willing to put that money out there for that. So
exactly, I'm so glad you said that, because I think there's so much misinformation out there in terms of what it actually takes to get into PC, and that's why I never make fun of people for not being on PC, because I've put in at least a couple grand into all this stuff that's sitting in front of me, from my monitor to the actual components. I mean, it costs far less to get out here and get an Xbox One or a PS4 and just sit down and game. I'm at a point in my life where I appreciate, the subtleties of, having some of the best equipment, that I can afford. And so that's why I do it. But I would never, try to talk down to someone who's not, in that place right now.
This dude scored a touchdown. I can't believe it.
All right. So here we go.
There you go. Hey, but the thing I got to say about it is, I wish they would focus on the games to be 720p and 60 frames per second than them trying to reach 1080p and then the frame rates constantly dip and stuff like that. But because to me, I think that all of this trying to be 1080p, I think it's like fueling this console war even more. Because all they're doing is like looking for any little small thing. They'll say, "Oh, this runs better on this one than this one right here." Like, right. I would rather them just focus on it just being a steady 60 frames per second. Because I seen that Xbox trying to freaking have the same everything as PlayStation on Fallout. And I seen that freaking frame rate
drop to zero.
0.0.
Yeah.
0.0. Like
basically that's a slideshow.
Yeah.
Watch your skill shots.
Yeah, so I would rather them just to make a steady 720p 60 frames per second than all this 1080p and then 60 frames per second sometimes drop down to 30. Like it, you really notice it when it drops down to from 60 to 30.
Right. You don't notice so much when it's 30 to 20. You don't notice it too much.
Exactly. Yeah.
When that 60 drops to 30, you definitely notice that.
You definitely know. All right, I have nothing to add on this, man. I mean, you all pretty much covered it, so I don't need to add anything to that. We'll move on. Our final topic: the Xbox One actually took the lead in sales. Was just for the month of October. Don't get excited. Just for the month of October, they outsold the PlayStation 4 and of course the Wii U. But
in America.
And I wasn't finished. In the United States, because you know the Japs not mess with Xbox. Y'all know that Japanese people do not mess with Xbox at all. So now, the last time we did that, they said they weren't gonna report this. Wasn't Phil Spencer saying they weren't gonna report this? Mm-hmm. Did they report? Did they report this, or did it just come about and they just kind of like just tagged along on the top?
From the MPD. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was that then fanboys.
All right. So that's good. I mean, I'm never one of these guys that want to see one fail and stuff like that. I don't have no allegiance to no system, no piece of plastic. I want to see them both do good because I own them both. So guess what? That's just more fun for me, right? So, all right. So, Merc, what's your take on the Xbox One leading in sales for October? Do you have one? If not, you know what we can do.
Yeah, I'm glad they're leading because I would rather them just start selling like crazy and put a fire up on the PlayStation's ass because PlayStation ain't doing shit. Because they just sitting back counting money, and like Xbox, they're doing stuff to bring people in, backwards compatibility, the new user interface, bringing out all these games, like, and different games, not just shooters. And like, you really aren't hearing anything from PlayStation. So
They done already brought all their games out.
They did.
yeah,
Right.
but they still supposed to come out with freaking Uncharted around, you know, at the end of the year, and they pushed it back. So,
Am I the only one not really looking forward to that game?
Yes.
yes, you're the only one.
I'm the only one.
No,
Yeah.
it's not the number one game I'm excited about. I think, like, because I did see that PlayStation show that they had in France, and I think a number of the titles they showed there. I'm definitely looking forward to those more than I am at Uncharted. I mean, I like competition. I mean, it's what really helps the industry continue to grow. Microsoft, like Merc mentioned, they're definitely doing a lot more to bring in customers than Sony is doing right now. And I hope that continues, at least until 2016 or until Microsoft figures out what direction they ultimately want to go, with respect to the Xbox One, because my theory is that this will actually be their last console, but I'll save that topic for another day. I just think it's good right now, when you have companies that are competing to kind of bring the attention back, to customers, because that's when we win, and that's when we begin to see the benefits of having that pressure in the marketplace.
Okay, that was well spoken again.
Yeah. Silver is on fire right now, y'all.
He is, man.
I think
That was kind of hard to follow. So
I could talk about this all day.
But the way I feel, I don't have any of the consoles. Right now, just strictly PC gaming. Because right now, right, you gotta collect the things, man. There you go. Right now, they haven't shown me any reason to get either of the consoles. I mean, PlayStation has a few times with a lot of games that I do want to play. They do have some games I do want to play.
you came close, dude. You
I did.
Came close.
I was supposed to. I actually was supposed to buy one yesterday.
Came close,
but I forgot.
Liar.
But I want to buy this processor motherboard right now, so that costs about the same
True.
amount as that PlayStation. So, but I do like that they did the price cut. And I'm thinking of waiting for like the Nathan Drake Uncharted 5 one or 4, whatever it is. I don't remember what 4. Thinking of buying that one when it comes out. But Xbox, on the other hand, it's good that they won because, like Mercury said, PlayStation's been a little cocky. They've been a little Ronda Rousey in a little bit, and they need Xbox to Holly Holmes them and knock her out, just so she could be humbled again. So I like how they're doing all this, but to me, first of all, Xbox left a bad taste in my mouth back in the day when they told me they were going to fix my Xbox that was refurbished, even though I told them it was refurbished. And then when I shipped it out to them, they told me, no, we're not fixing it. And they didn't want to, they even know that they heard the phone call and heard the dude tell me that it was going to be fixed. And if you ever worked retail before, any kind of business, to make a customer happy, if someone made that mistake, you got to fix that mistake.
You got to eat that.
Yeah, you got to eat it. And they didn't. They told me, no, there's nothing we're going to do unless you pay us $100 and whatever dollars to fix it. That's the only way we're going to fix it. So since then, I said, fuck Microsoft. And that is one reason why I'm not going back to the Xbox. And Phil Spencer, taking over, he might be a little cooler. If my Xbox were to have that issue and the guy said he would fix it, he probably would have fixed it. But I don't even want to take that chance. Second of all, I'm more into what's stronger. I think the only times that wasn't true was when I had the PlayStation and I had the Sega Genesis. I know the NES was stronger than the Sega Genesis, but I banged with the Sega Genesis, and I know that the 64
Which
was
NES?
The Super NES.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to specify that, bruh. You said the NES. I'm like,
okay. Well, the
no,
Super
it wasn't.
Famicom and Super NES.
You talking about the Super, not the original.
Supers.
Okay.
And then the 64 was stronger than the PS1 on some, on the games. So, but this time I'm like, you know what? I got a PC. if I want to get one of these consoles, I gotta have something that is going to, kind of, I can't even think of the word, but kind of be closer to my PC pretty much. And that's the PlayStation 4. It has a stronger GPU unit, and it has games that I can't get on the PC. These Xbox One games are going to later on, for the most part, come to the PC. So if I want to play those, all I got to do is just wait a little bit. Well, Uncharted and all those games, they're not going to come to the PC. So I'm definitely just going to buy me a PlayStation 4. But I still am happy that Microsoft actually did take a month from PlayStation, because, they are, on a high horse right now, and they need to be knocked down.
Yeah, I mean,
but they did do a price cut.
They did, but it's like Sony. They kind of have that same mentality that they had, coming off of the PS2, where they thought they could release the PlayStation 3 and it's $600 and $700. I mean, that's just been their mentality, and that's been their approach. So, I'm definitely glad to see them lose some of that momentum, because, Microsoft is a giant, and they have all the money in the world, and they can push this system into people's lives, whether they want it or not. I mean, they can find that way. Sony can't necessarily do that, and I think the only reason why Sony has gotten out to the lead that it has is because Microsoft was absent from the beginning of the generation, and I think now that they're beginning to catch up, I think we're going to see some changes, throughout next year.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when those new consoles came out, they were wanting like $600 for those things. Remember the Neo Geo?
Oh yeah, that sucker gave you the arcade experience though.
The 3DO, they were
the 3DO was stupid.
They were running ridiculous prices for those systems.
3DO was dumb. That joint was way too expensive.
So,
well, I mean, the Neo Geo literally was the arcade experience.
Yeah.
It had the same card that they used for the arcade machines. Like $200 per game.
Yeah, shout out to that MAME emulator though. You play all the arcade games.
Right.
All right, so that's all we got, man. We'll wrap this thing up. All in all, I think we covered enough, man, to get through this one here. We had some definitely good stuff. Silva definitely did his thing, and the topics and whatnot. We'll let you start off with your closing statement. First and foremost, man, appreciate you coming through with us. You know what I'm saying? Rocking with us. Welcome anytime back, man. You know how we do it. We good like that. And remind me to add you on this PS4 now that I know you got one.
Cool beans.
So, yeah. What's your closing statement?
No, I just want to say, man, thank y'all for extending the invitation, man. I think it's funny because, I mean, we've been gaming for so long that, we have a tendency to kind of forget, some of our own experiences as we kind of watch other people going through there. So I think it's always great when I have an opportunity to really sit down and talk to people who've kind of, walked in the same shoes that I've walked in. So this has definitely been a pleasure to be able to come on here and do so. And I think to anybody listening, just play something this holiday, just get involved with the hobby in some type of way. It doesn't matter what game you play, as long as you're playing something and enjoying it. That's all that matters. All
right. The Southern Tongue, Merc. What you got, bro?
Go on and get Tomb Raider. If you can. If you got an Xbox, get Tomb Raider. Try it out. Try it out.
Come out and play.
I'm telling you, it's a sleeper. I'm telling you.
When is Tomb Raider a sleeper?
It's a sleeper,
everybody
man.
know about
Ain't
Tomb
nobody
Raider.
playing Tomb Raider. Like, who's talking about it?
A lot of people was talking about it, actually, bro. Tomb Raider's always a good game.
Tomb Raider is a AAA franchise, man. That's a AAA.
Man, when is she gonna start walking around them shorts though in that halter top though?
Oh boy. All right. It's on you, Benedict.
Damn. Damn, son.
I got a question, man.
I want to prophecy heard that.
How was life on the crumb side though?
Man, it was funny. I just stayed quiet and let them do whatever they do for the most part.
Oh my god!
Until they asked me a question, for the most part, that's pretty much how it went down. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all, man. It wasn't bad at all.
Glad to see you.
Maybe one day you can hop over there and check it out.
Not for nothing.
But my closing statement. You want my closing statement though?
Yes.
All right. So Chicken baby, chicken. No. Silver, thanks for joining us on the show, man.
Thank you.
I thought I heard your name from somewhere, and I went and found you on Twitter, and I was like, oh, this is a guy that used to bother me all the time for videos. Used to get on my damn nerve. So, thanks to finally get to talk to you. You know, nice to show up, and like T5 said, you can always come back. You had a lot of good insight.
Excellent.
I can see you really know your game. Just don't argue with me on Twitter all the time about certain stuff, though. But yeah. So thank you for showing up. T-Fly, cut it out, man. Cut it out. Stop calling me a Benedict, yo. I just went over there just to, I was a cameo, man. Leave me alone. You know, you got to spread out sometimes. But yeah, but that's all I got, man.
Whatever, you fucking traitor. Alright, this is on me. Flock leader, I'm out, man. I ain't really got much to say in the closing statement, man. All I want to say is I appreciate Silver for coming through with us. You know what I'm saying? Rocking with us, man. I enjoy having you, like I said earlier. And like I said, we can make this happen again. The next time we do this, we'll start going over our top games of the year and our worst games of the year, depending if we could do another one in a couple weeks and do another one at the end of the year. We'll chop it up amongst ourselves and see what our schedule is like, and we can get like 2 more going before the end of the year hits. And we may have another guest with us, man. Actually, we may have 2 more guests. I'm not sure though. We may do one with just us and then another one with another guest, and we got a couple people in mind. So that being said, yeah, Real Recognize Real.
SoundCloud. Follow us on SoundCloud.
Yeah, please do, because I did forget to say that shit.
How
many times do I have to say that, man? It's always it links to everybody's channels and social stuff is in the description. Thanks for the assist, that Benedict. And that's it, man. Flock leader, Merc, Silver, Tick, we all gone, y'all. Peace.
Bye. This dude, who did that?